My name is Gloria LaRiva, and I'm from the National Committee to Free the Cuban Five. This is Rosa Peñate, who's also a member of the committee. This is the weekend of January 17 and 18. We just finished visiting in McCreary Federal Prison Ramon Labañino, who is one of the Cuban Five political prisoners here in the United States. Ramon has a life sentence for the crime of fighting terrorism. He was not committing any crime other than defending the people of Cuba and the United States from U.S.-sponsored terrorism that is based in Miami. And so Ramon is in McCreary in Pine Knot, Kentucky. So we're very privileged to have been able to go visit him. And right now, this is January, the middle of January. By the end of this month, there will be appeals filed before the U.S. Supreme Court and in a long, long legal process to try to free the Cuban Five from U.S. prison so they can return home to Cuba. So, Rosa, if you'd like to say something about our visit with Ramon.
Well, yes, of course. The visit with Ramon was very rewarding because we know that we are working toward gaining his freedom. I mean, the freedom of the Cuban Five, actually. It was very nice to see him in good spirit, very healthy and very positive in his conversation and his attitude. And he's looking forward to be free and go back to Cuba, to his family, his friends, and his people in Cuba.
Exactly. So the case is a very important one, although there's not a lot of acknowledgement about it, or people in the U.S. are not that aware of the case. There has been some media coverage. But basically, it's very important for the people of the United States to know why. They need to know more about it and support these men. These Cuban Five were working in Miami from the early 1990s. They had infiltrated terrorist organizations which have a long history of bombings, assassination, and other sabotage against Cuba. And the Cuban Five were inside those groups, monitoring future plots and preventing terrorist attacks. For example, the Cuban Five stopped 2 civilian airline planes from being bombed. They saved lives. And yet the U.S. government arrested the Cuban Five 10 years ago on September 12, 1998, and charged them with espionage, conspiracy, and other related charges. They never committed espionage because they were not targeting the U.S. government. The Cuban Five was targeting the terrorist organizations. So simply on that basis, the people of the U.S., if they knew of the mission of the Five, they would demand their freedom because they were fighting terrorism. They were saving lives. The other issue that's of great importance to everybody in this country is the right of a defendant to a fair trial. The Cuban Five were held in solitary confinement after their arrest in Miami. And in the 2 years before their trial, the Miami media, the press, officials, there were publications of numerous articles, false articles, accusations. They were basically tried in the media. Miami is a city in which every institution, from the universities to the police, the courts, anything of power in that city is controlled or dominated by right-wing Cubans. So there was no chance of them to have a fair, impartial jury trial. As a matter of fact, after their conviction, they were convicted on all counts in 2001. When their appeals first came up before the court in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, in 2005, the 3-judge panel of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled unanimously that they could not get a fair trial in Miami. Their convictions were overturned. Unfortunately, the Bush administration, through Alberto Gonzales, then the Attorney General, appealed, and the Five were reinstated their convictions. So we're still fighting for their freedom. There are 300 support groups around the world. There are many prominent people supporting them, from British, Irish, Latin American parliamentarians to personalities in the U.S., such as Danny Glover, Alice Walker, and many others. So we are a grassroots organization, and if people want to know more about their case, you can read everything from the legal documents to the stories. You can hear the interview with one of the 5, Gerardo Hernandez, who has a double life sentence in California, on freethefive.org. 5 is spelled out. And can you tell us, Rosa, about his family? What his family, who they are?
Well, Ramon is married to Elizabeth, has 3 beautiful girls, Eileen, Laura, and Lisbeth. This family needs this man in their house. The girls need their father, and the wife needs her husband. His people, and when I mean his people, I mean all the Cubans, 11 million Cubans, need the 5 back in their home. We had to fight, and we need your support, all your support, to free the Cuban 5. Send them